quick is after leaving Peru, I was an English major. After leaving Peru, I moved to Kearney out west and was a newspaper reporter for 15 years and kind of jumped off of the news media side and became the director of communications and media relations. There is a hockey rink and arena in Kearney called the Vero Event Center that has concerts and a hockey team. I worked in media relations for the hockey team, and kind of a stray from my background is I booked all the concerts and shows in the building. So I worked as a concert promoter alongside the media relations. And then just here about 3 or 4 months ago, I made another career change, and I now work at the University of Nebraska at Kearney as their director of communications and media relations. So I do all the campus marketing, photography, news releases, PR, everything that kind of goes into that on campus at UNK. So kind of went full circle from a writer, reporter, concert business, then back to the writing and PR world. I guess you asked to touch on what we were involved in here. Real quickly, I played basketball here. I was on the basketball team, and I was also editor of the Times, the student newspaper.
And the advisor back in those days was
Mr. Holtz here. So a lot of late nights spent singing in the room there, laying out pages. But and then I was also involved in some things like Student Senate and actually in the choir and some musicals. So I was one of those guys with all the athletes, kind of came and heckled me to see if they could break me on stage. So I tried to get involved in a lot of things and really enjoyed that experience. So that's probably.
When did you graduate?
1995.
Okay.
Thanks for making us feel old.
No, that's all right.
But that's probably good for now. So.
Okay, Lisa.
I started out Peru as a science major. I was here in the early 80s and then took a sabbatical from here and went to College of St. Mary in Omaha, finished a nursing degree. Came back with the intentions of finishing my pre-med degree, and I actually did leave Peru in 1991 and went to med school. One thing when I was here, though, as far as being a science major, was they have really encouraged medical students to have a broad-based education. And one of the areas that I always gravitated toward was English and writing and literature. And I was telling Dr. Holtz, it was in a Nebraska literature class, that something turned on, and I thought, boy, if I ever don't end up being a doctor, this is something I would be extremely interested in. In the course of that, it was co-listed as a graduate class. I knew I needed upper division credit outside of my major, so I took that class and did most of the master's level stuff. And for part of that thesis, I read every book Willa Cather ever wrote. Do you remember that thesis? It was supposed to be 10 pages, and I said, I'm not even a quarter of the way through. What do you want me to do? And it was just write it. I think it ended up being 50 or 60 page paper, and creative writing and stuff. So when I was in my 4th year of med school, my mother-in-law was killed in a plane crash, so there was my child care. And my now ex-husband was diagnosed with cancer, and I ended up leaving school to be a wife and mom. And then after a really nasty divorce, it's like, now I just need a job. So I ended up in retail, and life does funny things. But what that gave me was a lot of time on my hands to pursue. The kids are gone, and I really got to pursue the writing and get serious about it. And to me, it's a real honor, particularly after that Nebraska literature class and meeting John Neihart's daughter. I am the president of the Nebraska Writers Guild, and so directly in my hands, I hold that legacy, and that's something that every day when I look at my name on those business cards, I remember your class because it was something that really, really was impactful. So, my advice is take everything, take a lot, take things you think you'll never use in your major, because I'm telling you, at the end of the day, you may find you're doing something like this instead of medicine, which is what you thought you were going to do.
And tell them what this is.
This is Modified Flight Plan. This is a book I wrote with a guy in Lincoln. That's a true story. He has the same bleeding disorder my granddaughter has, and as part of the treatment, they took out his spleen. And in 2009, he got sick, and without a spleen, you don't know you're really sick. And within 4 hours, he was comatose on life support and developing gangrene. And he lost both feet, his right dominant hand, and his hearing. And today we fly that airplane all over the place. So it's his story of recovery and just what the family faced and what he faced doing that.
So it's a real blend of your science background, your medical background,
Oh,
and
yeah.
your writing.
Yeah, so when it came to writing the medical parts of this, and when I do things that are on the dark end of the street, I can write a great death scene, you know? It all comes into play somehow. I write screenplays, and if all is moving in the direction it's moving, I may be making a move to California here very soon, so we'll see.
To work as a screenplay writer. Wow. Corey?
My name is Corey Raymond. My major was language arts and secondary education. I graduated here in '95. After I graduated, I took the LSAT and got into law school right after Peru. I graduated at the University Law College in '99. For a few years I was working for a firm doing veterans benefits and criminal defense. In 2004 I left them and went out on my own, so I've been practicing on my own since 2004. I mostly do just criminal defense work, so that's what I've been doing since. A couple years, well, last year I don't know how to put it, I drew the short straw or something, and I agreed to run for office for the Democratic Party, so that was a neat experience. I wasn't really involved in politics up to that point, so I ran for Congress and had a great experience. Obviously lost, but I learned a lot. It was real neat. I had a good time, so basically now I'm just back to being a defense attorney, and it's basically what I do now.
I guess I'm next, right? I'm a lawyer too. I also, we all three graduated in '95? Huh, it's kind of a blur. I got out, and then I
It is for us too.
when I graduated in '95, I didn't know what to do with myself, so I went to Lincoln and got in the special summer graduate program. Got an apartment about half a block off of O Street, and I found that was a mistake because the bars were there and very close to that apartment, well within walking distance, and there went my graduate career. So then I didn't know what I was going to do, so I thought, well, I'll just go back to Peru. So I sort of graduated twice in a way. I got my bachelor's in '95, came back, and '98, I guess, or something like that, I got my teaching certificate. It took me that long to get it because I had avoided education classes at all costs. I loved language arts, and I wound up having a language art or English degree because those are the classes I enjoyed rather than the classes that, I like science classes too, but I mostly took those. So then let's see, quick synopsis, the rest of my life, I got my teaching degree, became a teacher. Then I found out I wasn't very good at that either, so I enjoyed it, but it was, boy, that's stressful. The children or something else. So I didn't realize there'd be kids involved. So I did that for a couple of years, and then I took the LSAT, which is the test you take to see whether or not you ought to go to law school or not, and I got lucky on that, so I did well enough on that to get into law school. I was in Kansas City then, so I went to law school there, graduated from law school, and we decided, I had a daughter and a girlfriend, and we decided we'd move back. She's also a graduate of Peru. Debbie Salish is her name, and so we decided we'd move back to Lincoln. So we moved back to Lincoln. I became a lawyer, or started practicing as a lawyer, and do kind of a hodgepodge of law. Work at a small firm, and we just do all kinds of stuff. And that's my whole story.
I think I'm the youngest one here. I graduated in 2009. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, I was thinking more like 7 or 8, but maybe it was 9.
No, I should remember that. Anyhow, I was graduated with a BA in history, and I think I might have been one of the first political science minors that we had. And that was pretty fresh. Anyhow, political science minor, and when I was graduated, I went ahead and I worked in retail as a manager of a hardware store for a couple of years. And following that, my wife and I went into the human services field. Okay, I'm a history major, so this is absolutely nothing to do with history, but we went into the human services field and worked at Boys Town with Family Teachers, which is a job where we lived with 8 or up to 9 youth, and we were at direct care for those kids. following that stint at Boys Town, my wife and I, we moved back to Nebraska City, and we both went into graduate school. I'm still in graduate school, and as is my wife. We haven't completed it yet. And I now have gotten a job with the degree I have. It's a history. I have a history job. I work as a director of the Craigle Windmill Factory. It's a museum. It's basically a factory that closed down, and everything was left as it was. We put visitor restraints up through so folks can visit and walk through. It's a non-traditional museum, if it ever was. And I'm really enjoying my job there as a curator, but also as a director. And my responsibilities range from understanding the history of the place to raising funds so that the place can stay open. So I have to understand more than just one area. I have to understand more than just history. So that's where I feel like, from my perspective, Peru really helped me out, because I got a pretty well-rounded degree. As a Bachelor of Arts is different than a Bachelor of Science. I have quite a few hours in business and quite a few hours in psychology, and I have more hours than I need. I would suggest not taking that many hours. I took 143 credit hours to graduate. You don't need that many. So I had a lot of fun. See, I'm one of the kids I was annoying in school. See, you guys aren't very talkative yet, I noticed, but I like to talk too much probably in class, and I'm probably annoying some folks, but I really liked school. And if you can really grasp onto enjoying what you're hearing and listening, then you're going to make it a good ways. I also, by the way, as a side job, I am an instructor at Metropolitan Community College. So I get to encounter college students all the time, at least once a week. I teach adjunct, and I teach computer classes, which has nothing to do with history either. But it's a real good gig, and as a student, I try to engage my students, and this is college 101 for you guys, right? You guys are all freshmen. Enjoy your time here and try to get the most out of it, and come to class. So anyway.